Yes, we are.
Ms. Beauvais is now produced and present before the court.
Case officer sentencing, both sides ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion before we proceed with sentencing. Either side.
Judge, if we could just...
If you just speak up to the microphone, I appreciate it.
Judge, if we could just briefly address the motion that we discussed at sidebar.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, defense counsel served on the people several reports in regard to today's sentencing proceeding. In those papers, the defense discussed the evidence the defendant claims is mitigating and warrants a more lenient sentence. People were doing so to directly rebut those allegations and to show that the defense papers grossly mischaracterized the nature of the podcast, which in fact reflects that Ms. Beauvais has shown a disregard for... Thank you, Your Honor.
Quite welcome. Ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
People.
At this point, Your Honor, the people move indictment 504-2021 sentence.
Who should be heard, sir?
Yes, the people did serve notice to the court.
Very loud. Thank you.
The people served notice to the court and...
My husband's tragic and untimely death has been a huge loss to many. He was very loved. His life mattered. He was a courageous NYPD highway patrol officer. He was also a son to now grieving parents, a brother, a favorite uncle. He was a great friend to many, and he was a proud father and husband. Tasso had a big heart. He loved being useful and went out of his way to make people's lives a little easier, a little better. He cared. You could count on him to do the right thing, even when no one was looking. He was kind and warm, with a great sense of humor, very witty. My husband's laughter and smile is something I miss very much. And his honesty and sincerity was like a breath of fresh air. He was a genuine person. Tasso was also an eternal optimist who believed in the goodness of people. I received letters from individuals he had arrested telling me what a great human being he was and how he made a positive impact in their lives. My husband made the world a better place, and he had so much more to give. He is irreplaceable and unforgettable. We had a great life. We were happy. Tasso and I made a strong team. Together we created a beautiful family, and after years of saving, we were finally able to purchase our first home, just 6 months prior to his death. We were living our dreams, busy fixing our home and making plans for the future. But everything came to a screeching halt on April 27th, 2021. At approximately 4 a.m. that morning, 2 NYPD officers rang my doorbell and gave me the devastating news that my husband had been hit by a car while on duty, and I was urgently needed at the hospital. In a panic, I asked if my husband was alive, but they couldn't tell me. I instantly doubled over in pain. On our way to the hospital, I prayed to God to please let him be alive. I needed him. I couldn't picture my life without him. At the hospital, I was told that despite their best efforts, the doctors were unable to save him. I was told my husband was dead. My world came crashing down. They were still speaking to me, but I heard nothing after that. I couldn't speak. I was in shock. The pain I felt made my body weak. My mind had a hard time processing that my strong, beautiful husband was no longer with us. I was in shock until the thought of our children came to my mind and realized I now had to go home and tell my babies that their dad, that broke me. I begged and pleaded with God to stop the nightmare, to stop time. In that moment, I wish I never existed at all and to hurt my children. But I had no choice. It was part of my sentence. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life, and I don't wish it on anyone. Telling my children and witnessing their devastation, unable to console them, is something that's been burned in my soul. I will carry it with me forever. Their hearts were broken, and I couldn't take their pain away. I could not protect them from this. While Jessica Beauvais was sobering up in a police station that morning, our world was collapsing. The tragedy of my husband's death was hard enough, but to know that it was all completely preventable is too much. Because of a single person's despicable actions, our family was sentenced to a lifetime of loss. Jessica Beauvais each time broke my heart. Our son wanted me to get him a big kite so that he could fly it high in the sky and his daddy could grab onto it and bring him back. He cried daily because Daddy would never hold him in his arms again. He was only 3 years old. Our daughter was a daddy's girl. He was her love. Their bond was so precious, and it breaks my heart that he was ripped away from her so suddenly. Her pain was deep. At night, she would pray and promise God to be very good if only he returned her daddy back. He was a great father, and they miss him every single day. I know about grief. I was 19 when my dad passed away, and it was hard not having him around. I wish he had met my husband and kids. I am so sad my children would have an even longer legacy of loss, and in many ways I cannot begin to fathom what they have lost. Their dad has already missed our son's first day of school, birthdays, father-daughter dances, school performances, and graduations. Each time he misses another special occasion and makes everything blindingly real. Our beautiful life is now just a memory. We are no longer whole. It was very hard for me to come to terms with it. He was ripped away from us so violently. Images of the event haunted me. They still do. I struggled to get out of bed, and I stopped eating. I struggled to engage in normal activities with a broken heart. There was so much hurt. My husband and I loved each other very much. We were best friends. We made a dynamic team. Together, we made decisions and plans for our future. Without Dasso, I am acutely aware that I am half of what was once. I will carry my husband with me forever. Lastly, I want to address Jessica Beauvais's podcast. She made a podcast hours before killing my husband for the world to hear. I heard it too. I want to say that you cannot think, speak, and spread hate out into the world and expect good things to happen to you. You cannot wish harm on people and influence others to do harm and expect good things in return. You killed my husband, an innocent man, a good man, who did nothing to you. That's on your conscience. Your choice and your behavior landed you here today. You have no one but yourself to blame. You truly earned every day you spent in prison. I hope you take that time to reflect on your actions and feel remorse for all the devastation you have caused to my family and to yours as well. Our road ends here today. Your Honor, on behalf of our family and friends, and all of Tassos brothers and sisters in blue who place their lives on the line each and every day protecting this city, we ask that Jessica Beauvais is given maximum sentence, both for killing my husband and maximum sentence for fleeing the scene and leaving him there to die. Thank you, Your Honor.
About that, we forget that police officers are fathers, their husbands, their mothers, their wives. Juana, as he left his family that evening to serve this city and to serve this county, while she was making those choices, he left his family to do his job, which is a dangerous enough job to patrol.
The sentence of this court is that you be incarcerated for a determined period of 20 years, followed by 5 years of post-release supervision. With respect to vehicle manslaughter in the second degree, the sentence of this court is that you be incarcerated for a minimum of 2 1/3 to a maximum of 7 years to run concurrent with the first count. With respect to VTL 600, the sentence of this court is that you be incarcerated for 2 1/3 to 7. That's to run consecutively to the other 2 counts. There is a $5,000 fine with respect to that as well. Please advise the defendant for words with you.
Somebody who has the right to appeal to the appellate divisions have to depart within 30 days, and if you have financial inability to retain counsel, you can have the right to try to the appellate division. All instructions are on the form being served to you. And your mandatory surcharge is $300 for a mandatory surcharge, $25 fine for committing the CCC, and $50 in addition to the $5,000 fine.
Members of the press, we can step outside.
Drove down.